All right, hello and welcome everyone to the intro call for Business Done Different and Talk to the Entity Intermediate. Since I'm going to Kolkata for both these classes, I thought let me just create an intro call just for you to get an energetic awareness of what exactly these classes are all about, what all it entails, and what is lined up with these. So which class would you like to know about first? The intermediate or the business done different? Intermediate. Okay, cool. All right. So when was the last time? So let's talk to the entity intermediate. Now, when was the last time you said to yourself, like even out loud, like, I don't know. When was the last time you said that? And you'll realize you seem to say it very often. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to create something. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the future has in store. I don't know. How often do you actually start buying that as true for yourself? Okay. And usually most of us do that. But once you start becoming very present to what your thought forms are and how you're negating your own awareness, that's when you start realizing that how much are you actually resisting stepping into choosing so much more, because somewhere you're so busy resisting your awareness and you're not willing to step into that knowing. Okay, so there were quite a few times during classes when my class participants usually say, I don't know. So now we have the standing joke, like, okay, now if you don't know, then you need to put 1,000 rupees in the bowl, which will just go and end of the class, they're just going to go and party. So all those people who say, I don't know, they need to put, every time they say, I don't know, they need to put 1,000 rupees in the bowl. So mostly you'll get it when you get it. What exactly I'm trying to say about every time you are discounting your awareness. Okay, now, because we do know, we are so aware all the time, but we just keep discounting our awareness because sometimes it does not match this reality. Sometimes it doesn't fit in with what we are looking at. So sometimes when we're sitting at home and we'll suddenly feel that somebody just passed by, right? From the corner of eye, we'll sense some movement. And when we turn and look, there's nobody there. Or sometimes when you're walking down a pathway, you get a sense of being followed. And when you turn around and look, there's nobody there. But there is something there. Those are the entities. They are there and you're so aware of them. But just because you cannot physically at times see them, so you just discount your awareness. Okay, now, what if you actually recognize that there are beings on this planet who are willing to invite you into choosing so much more, whether you want it or no, they are there to invite you, no matter how uncomfortable or how comfortable or uncomfortable that may be, but they are there to just invite you into choosing more. Now, the question is, are you willing to choose more for yourselves? Are you willing to be more? How much are you keeping yourself stuck and limited because somewhere you're not willing to follow your knowing? So all these classes, especially the Talk to the Entity classes, even the Business Done Different classes, these start inviting you into choosing so much more for yourself everywhere you're keeping yourself stuck. Okay. Now, one other thing that is of paramount importance is choosing to be committed to creating more and choosing more in your life. That commitment of being unstoppable is what both these classes will invite you to. Okay. The reason I facilitate all the classes that I facilitate, whether it's the Being You class or the Right Voice for You, or the Talk to the Entity class, or the Joy Business classes, these classes have personally created so much for me. And I just feel so connected with these specialty classes that whoever I can contribute to, these classes are very, very dynamic. So that's the reason I'm choose to facilitate these few classes. Now, so every time you find yourself saying, no, I don't know. What if you actually stop yourself and said, okay, so truth, what is it that I do know? What do I know? What am I aware of here? What awareness am I getting here? What am I unwilling to be perceived and receive here with this whatever thing that's going on for me? Sometimes you tend to feel very, very uncomfortable and you don't know what's going on, or there is a level of unease. Maybe when you go meet certain friends, or when you go to a particular place, you suddenly feel that denseness in the energy. Those are usually just entities there waiting to interact with you. Okay, now, so I won't go into what Talk to the Entity Intro and Beginning is all about, although that's also that's for some other time. What I will talk about right now is, okay, a little bit about Intro and Beginning are, those classes are about, the Talk to the Entity Intro and Beginning classes are mostly for those who are really curious, who know that there is something out there in the world for them. And it's also for people who've been looking to create more awareness and consciousness with the spirit world. And these classes are also for those who have actually experienced trouble and confusion and problem with their awareness of entities, and would actually like to change things around and create more ease in their lives. Okay. So usually I've realized when we are working with entities, there are just pathways that start opening up. Everything starts becoming so much of ease. So much more you start creating, and you tend to have ease with everything, with your relationships, with your business, with your body, with your creations, and so on. Okay, including your kids. Now, intermediate and advanced classes advanced is only facilitated by Shannon, but intermediate, these classes are about strengthening and deepening and literally expanding your potency and your capacities with choosing more clarity with the Talk to the Entity world and the awareness of entities, and also all the energies that you may or may not have claimed, owned, and acknowledged about the power of you or the potency of you. This starts introducing, the intermediate starts introducing you to that, about owning all your capacities, about acknowledging where it is that you've been holding yourself back. So what exactly is there in the Talk to the Entity intermediate? It's like there are a few topics which are really, really interesting. One of them is, you know how we learn in the beginning class, we learn about how to start communicating with entities. However, here in this class, we start learning about how those entities communicate with us, what is required. And there's of course a lot. This whole class is mostly about receiving from entities. They gift so dynamically. There is so much they open up for us, a totally new world for us, and how to literally start receiving so much more dynamically. Yes, it is already there also in the beginning class, but this is so much more. Okay. And how to deal with entities with PTSD, whatever's coming up, how certain entities choose their parents, how to talk to the entity who's choosing to be your child or your soon-to-be child, how to communicate with them. And there's a lot of information about clearing entities from lands and other places like war zones and so on, about portals, land portals, how to deal with them, what awareness is required, and so on. And also entities and animals. We'll be talking a whole lot about that. It's a one full day class, and there's so much of information. And there's also a manual on this. And then there's also a topic of sex with entities. There are quite a few people who actually experience that, and how to deal with it, what is it that's going on for them, how to handle that, and what all awareness you can get. Whether it's a male or a female, they both experience that. So how to deal with something like that. So all that, there's so much information about this. Anything you guys would like to ask me? Because I just listed out the topics that we'll be covering in the intermediate. Anything else about intermediate would you like to ask me? If you, anything. Just a minute.
Hi, Smriti. I
Hi,
remember
Shruti.
just talking yesterday or day before yesterday in the book club that it is all about where the entities are communicating to us.
Yeah.
So could you just tell about that? What is that?
See, yeah, so that means I'll have to give away the class, but it is the different ways that the entities start communicating to us. All this while we've learned how we have to communicate, we have to ask questions and stuff. But this is more about how they start giving us information and the different ways. There are so many different ways in which they are making us aware of certain things. So that was a very new and different perspective that I learned, and I thought that was really interesting. So I can't say more about it because then I would just be giving away the class. But apart from that, there are these other topics that we spoke about. Okay. And I listed out, I think you joined a little late, so I already spoke a lot about this. Now, if you have any other questions about intermediate, let me know. Otherwise, I'll move on to the intro to business done different. Lizona, yeah, you have a question?
Mine is not related to intermediate. I just want to know what's the next advanced class? Like if someone who's not a facilitator, who's, let's say, commoner like me, who's done Dr. Entry's intro and beginning and the intermediate.
Then there's an advanced class, which is the channel.
The channel, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, and then that's it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, what else? So, most successful people on earth will all agree that the keys to getting what you want have nothing to do with the world around. Okay. Instead, success has everything to do with the world within you. So, in Business Done Different, we actually of course, it's loaded with tools. That manual is really amazing. It has so much more information, so many clearings. It's literally like actually having a Bible for business with so much of tools and awarenesses. But one of the main things that we deal with with Business Done Different is where is it that we are stopping ourselves? So when I spoke about it has everything to do with the success has everything to do with the world within you. So what are your points of view? What is it that's going on for you that's actually keeping you stuck and limited? Okay. So it's your internal circumstances and not your external circumstances that will determine what shape your life will take. Okay. And the thing is, the moment you start taking ownership of this fact, or actually the ownership of your life, or what exactly it is that's keeping you stuck, the whole world will start looking very different to you. From you literally start seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles, and you will also start seeing the good in situations where earlier you would just see only the bad. So truth, what are the judgments you have of you that are literally keeping you from creating your own reality beyond this reality? What is keeping you from creating bigger and bigger? And what are the judgments of you that are actually keeping you stuck where you are? Or what are the judgments you have that are actually keeping you creating mediocre and choosing mediocre all the time? Everything that brought up times a godzillion, will you now destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right from good, bad, what for, short boys, 4 ads and beyonds. So what Gary says is, like, every time you create a business, you have to be willing to receive from business. Otherwise, you have no reason to create business. Okay. So everywhere you've been limiting or hesitating or resisting receiving from your business, will you not destroy and uncreate that, please? Right from good, bad, online short boys, 4 ads and beyonds. And you can start asking, okay, how can I use this business to create more money? How can I use this information to create more money? What are the many ways in which I can create revenue streams? And start asking these questions. And there are so many more avenues and pathways that open up. Now, when it comes to self-limiting beliefs, what happens is the challenge is to realize that all these beliefs are self-imposed, okay? And therefore, they can be self-removed. So if you are powerful enough to create those limitations and roadblocks for you, you're equally powerful enough to clear them, okay? So what are the different ways you're keeping yourself stuck? What are the different ways to create more money? What are the different ways to create so many revenue streams? What are the different ways where you are stuck with the stratification in your business and all the needs for reactive reality and all the presumptive realities that you've been functioning from? What are the elementals? What are the gold molecules? And there's a whole lot of topics. There must be at least about 60 to 70 different topics that we'll be discussing in the Business Done Different. And it's not like, so Business Done Different is not like what you learn, the tools that you learn in, say, for example, an MBA class or something. It's more about where are you keeping yourself stuck? So it's like literally a total overhauling of yourself, your belief system, the core of you, who and what are you at the core of you, and where are you keeping yourself in layers and layers and layers of shells and made of your points of view that are just literally keeping you stuck and hidden. So where are you hiding with your business? Where are you keeping your business hidden? Where are you keeping yourself hidden in the business with your business? And what is it that you'd really truly like to create? And what's the reason you're not able to choose that? So there's so much more we'll be talking about in this. It's like a 3 full day of literal overhauling. Okay. So what happens is when, say for example, when things go wrong or in our lives, or we fail to meet certain expectations, right? So it's very natural and normal to, Shruti, just give me a minute. It's very natural and normal to find someone to blame, okay? And the last person we want to point fingers is at ourselves. So what happens is every time you're laying the blame on someone else, it does nothing more than just validate the excuses about why things are not working for you, and allows you to fall in the victim rut that, oh, poor me, okay? So when you realize that, you actually, so Business Done Different will actually make you start realizing where are you going into a victim mode, where are you just accepting mediocrity, where are you just choosing things that are not even working for you, and at times you're just choosing to function from other people's points of view, and that does not really create more. Yes, Shruti, go ahead.
Yeah, so the last part you just mentioned it, where you're following the masses and choosing where it's not working for you. That was one question also. Another question, where when I share about Business Done Different and how it is contributing to each one of us, I encounter many people who have a point of view that how is this 3 days going to shift my reality? Or even, coming from a very business minded, a very calculated point of view, to get through them also that, you know what, come to me, I will teach you. So it's like, how do we get there?
So what if we didn't have to get there? What if we did not have to convince people? The class has an energy, right? If it is calling out to them, they will choose. You'll never find me convincing people. You don't want to choose, it's okay, right? I will never, ever, ever try and convince people, come to this class and I'm going to make sure everything changes for you, because until and unless they are willing to create that change for themselves, it's no point attending the class or doing anything, right? And I have no point of view if nobody chooses it. Do you get it? But I'm not going to go around convincing people, because that's not a fun energy for me, because I'd rather contribute to propelling people who are already looking at changing whatever they're going through and where they are actually asking for more. So that's that energy that I'm asking for. And that's the energy with which I offer all my classes. Leap. Or I'm willing to push them down the cliff, off the cliff, right? Because when you jump off the cliff, the initial few times you literally fall flat on the rocks or whatever, but you just get up again, climb back again up on the cliff, and then jump again and again and again. So that's also an exercise that I make them do, where you visualize literally leaping off the cliff again and again and again in your mind's eye. You don't literally go and jump off a cliff, okay? But when there'll come a time, and then talking about all the fears that are coming up, and then there'll come a time and a moment when you leap off the cliff, you'll actually soar. So that's what you have to start perceiving and receiving, right? So I'm the last one to convince people this, no, you have to join the class because this is what will change for you. Nothing will change unless you're willing to change, okay? So if there is an energy, if you get a sense that if the class is calling out to you, then get out of your mind's way, or get your mind off the way. Because what happens is a lot of people start looking at calculating, oh, I need to attend this, I need to do this, and then they make money an issue. But we need to realize that when you're looking to leap, everything that can go wrong goes wrong. Everything that has the power to stop you will start showing up. Suddenly, you'll create some health issue which will require your attention. Suddenly, you'll create a whole lot of trauma and drama at home that will require your attention. Suddenly, you will create money issues. Suddenly, you will create something or the other. Those are just ways that you are looking to stop yourself. Those are just roadblocks. And that's the time when you really need to say, no, whatever it takes, I'm choosing this, whatever it takes. And when you choose like that, you've no idea what all gets created. But that drive in your world, in your universe, that no matter what, I'm going to be it, do it, create it, that demand in your world is what's going to start actualizing the change. Most of us have a whole lot of tools. Most of us just note down the tools and we just put it in our notes, or we'll make a notebook or a diary and put it there, and we won't use it, right? So people, these 3 days will invite you to start seeing where are you keeping yourself stuck? What is it that's actually stopping you? There'll be a whole lot of awareness about yourself. And each class is also determined by the kind of questions people ask or the participants ask. So what's going on for each one of the participants, and where are they finding themselves stuck? And so like recently, there was a class that I was attending. I think it was the relationship done different. And there was this conversation about, there was some conversation about one of the participants' mom being so like all the time, just wanting attention from that participant all the time. And just wanting to be there in her life all the time. And there comes a time when the participant was like, okay, I need a little breather, or I can't just be handling things and stuff. And then there's one more participant who said, I've actually let go of all my awareness. I've given that work or job to my parents. So they choose to be aware about what is good for me, what is not good for me. And a lot of times that doesn't work, right? So I never ever thought I would have ever dealt with something like this. And then I realized, because I'd led such a pampered childhood, and I know that my mom was the one who'd always be like, oh, this friend is not your well-wisher, or don't do this, this might not suit you, or this might not work for you. Like she just knew. And I used to wonder, how does she get to know things? Like, how can she read people's minds? I used to be like so naive, and like I had no clue what was going on. For even though I was married, even though I had kids, I still couldn't figure out, how she would realize certain things. It's only when she passed away, when there was nobody really to choose to be aware on my behalf, I had to start tapping into my own awareness. And I realized, wow, there's so much I'm aware of now, right? So what happens is we think we are creating our lives, and we think we're doing really well in our business and everything. But when you acknowledge that sometimes you've given away your awareness to someone else to handle and take care of. So there'll be things like that, which depends on when different people, different participants ask different questions, how much that starts contributing to you also, and your awareness about what is that's keeping you stuck also, right? So these are the ways things show up. And definitely when there is some energy to a class, when there is something that's calling out to you, and when that class has the potential to actually create a huge change, you will create a whole lot of roadblocks for yourself. And that's okay. Like, I have no point of view whether somebody's choosing this class or whether they're choosing it with me or any other facilitator, because the last thing I would want is to force people to choose the class with me if they're not interested, or if they get convinced by somebody else, then all the best, So I don't hold on to people or wait. Okay. But I know there is a level of commitment that I have. There is a level of presence that I choose. And then there is that thing of, I'm choosing to leave. Would you join me? Okay. If I have to convince someone to choose a class with me, then, or a particular class, that's not going to be fun, because they're not choosing the change. And that's okay. I'd rather not have them. That's also one of the reasons why I do not choose that payment plans or choose to offer the class in installments, because I'd rather they wait and create money, or they can go to anyone else who's offering those payment plans, because there's no way I'm choosing to feed anyone's lack. If you're asking for a payment plan, somewhere there is a space of lack that you're functioning from, where you've already decided and concluded that you can't create something. The reason we don't create is when we are functioning from a linear way. Okay, this is the only way money can come to us, and that's it. Sometimes when that demand of choosing something is so high in your world, you make it happen. The money shows up. And I've so many of my classes and calls, I've given so many numerous examples, and I'm giving you my own examples. I'm not even looking at anyone else, because if I can create it like that, so can anybody else. And I remember there was this class that I had to choose. I think it was a talk to the entity CF training. I had to renew my license, and I was falling short of 1,80,000 for that. I had everything else in place, my tickets and my hotel booking, because those are the first things that I do initially, way before the class, and registering for the class, and I book all that. But sometimes I'm not able to create. That was the time. It's not now, but earlier. And I was falling short of 1,80,000, and I was like, okay, now what do I do? And so I have to travel tomorrow, the next day, by 11 o'clock. And by today afternoon, morning, I don't really have that much money. That 1,80,000 is less. And I was having a conversation with a friend, and I was like, okay, wondering how do I manage? Because too short a time for me to even put out a class or create a class where people will show up and, make it happen. And I couldn't ask my husband for all this, because, he's already said no more paying for your access classes. And I was like, okay, now what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And that friend just suggested, Smriti, what about your sessions? I was like, yeah, what about my sessions? And she's like, no, why aren't you offering those? I was like, but who's going to choose so soon? And where is the time to do those sessions? And then she's like, think about something, you'll find a way. And I was like, okay, let me offer SOP sessions and I'll offer 10 sessions for the price of one. So people will choose, right? And she's like, she suddenly went quiet. So I said, what happened? She's like, would that be fun for you? And I realized no, because I give more than 100% to those sessions, and 10 sessions is a lot of sessions for the price of one. And I was like, actually, no, that will not be fun. So then she's like, okay, then what else can you do? And then I was like, okay, let me offer 3 sessions for the price of one. So that's an offer too hard to resist. Yet I know, and there's so much more that would get created with that. So I just put it out as like, okay, if you sign up today before 12 p.m., before midnight today, this offer is only available till now. So no time for anybody to think. If it's calling out to you, you just put it out. So I put it out like that. And before midnight, I actually had that amount. There's so many people who signed up for that. So next day morning, when I left for the training, I had created that money. So you see that demand, there has to be that demand in your world. And most important, the choosing never to give up. And also choosing that thing, whether you have the money or not, if you still go ahead and choose, the money will show up. And there's something that I always say, and that's my most favorite quote. It's the universe always falls in love with a stubborn heart who chooses not to give up. So if you do not give up, what all magic can you create for yourself? So that's just these things, right? It's all about removing all those self-imposed barriers that all of you are choosing to function from. What is it that's going on for you in your world? So that's what these classes open up to. It starts making you aware. It starts making you so present to all those places where you're keeping you've been holding yourself back. And those 3 days is actually you learning to receive yourself and seeing the gift of you, or actually seeing, laying bare the core of you, what and who are you at the core of you, and how can you use that to your advantage, instead of choosing to create from the linearity of something. So that's what these classes are. End of the day, what you'll create in your life from that moment onwards is based on you choosing. What are you choosing beyond that? What are the choices? And when you make a choice, you have to choose it every day, every moment, every step. You can't just say, oh, today I plan to make $1 million. I'm choosing to make $1 million. And then you forget about it for the next 3 years. Will those $1 million show up? They won't, right? It's just about that. But if you're constantly the energy of choosing to make $1 million or $100 million every day, constantly choosing it, whether you can see it happening or not is not your problem. But the more you keep choosing, the more you start choosing to be vibrationally compatible with that. And then pathways start opening up. Because you know what? The universe always falls in love with a stubborn heart who chooses not to give up. And when you're asking for it and you're doing whatever it takes, when there's this demand in your world, you will actualize it. So that's what these classes are all about, right? And frankly, if I have to force someone to attend, or if I have to convince someone to attend, they'd rather not choose it. Seriously, it's just not fun. It's about, if you are aware of some possibilities, if you are aware of, if the class is calling out to you, there is something in it for you. You know, sometimes because you cannot just define. When I became a joy business facilitator, I had no clue why I'm choosing that. Okay, but I knew I'm choosing it, and there was just no way I was going to give up on it. And there is so much more that opened up for me, so much more. So I think I was one of the first 25 joy business facilitators worldwide, the first amongst the first few. So suddenly I was on a international platform where I was interacting with those people, where I was conducting classes internationally. And that's what it created for me. That was the first leap, right? And then after that, there's been no stopping in every aspect. So you have no idea what is waiting to be unleashed, unblocked, and revealed to you when you choose classes like these. Whoever you choose it with, but if these classes are calling out to you, just go ahead. Cool. Does anyone have any question? And if, frankly, if money was not significant, how much more awareness of freedom would that give you? How much more choice and how much more lighter and happier would you be? Would you start feeling in every aspect of your life? We tend to make money very significant. And because you're making it significant, we make that as a source for choosing something for us, instead of choosing to have it all. It's like, I have to attend this, or I have to choose these 2, 3 things that are coming up right in front of me. So that's why I need to let go of this, right? What if you can actually have it all? What if you did not have to let go of something so that you could choose something else? What if the demand in your world was so strong that I don't care, universe, I'm choosing this, make it happen, and allow that to show up. Let me give you an example of making that demand. I had to go to Australia because I was conducting a presentation for a particular school in Australia. It was a school meant for special kids, and mostly kids who are on autism spectrum and so on. And I had to be there that particular day. So I was landing in the morning in Sydney, and in the evening at Canberra was the presentation at 7 o'clock. So I was like, that's it, I have to be there. Now, as luck would have it, by the time I reached Delhi from Bombay, I was very late for that flight, and something to do with my seat, it got messed up or something. And then I think they'd given away my seat to somebody else. Some such thing had happened. Okay, so, or maybe there was an aircraft change and suddenly that aircraft had one seat which was not serviceable. Some such mess up happened. And I was like, but I really, really need to go. And then I finally, somehow, something I managed, so the captains also come there to sign up, right? So I had a word with them, because sometimes they have the power to release a particular seat, which is actually meant for the crew and stuff, and they can release it if you request them. But those seats were also full. They'd already been given away. And one of the first captain I spoke to, he says, I can't help you. Then the second captain said, let me see what I can do. And what they'd done was, then they realized that the aircraft had changed. So they took in my suitcase, they checked me in, but they kept holding on to my boarding card. They were like, hold on, just wait, because there's still some confusion whether they're allotting this particular aircraft or another aircraft. And I was like, okay, what else is possible? How does it get any better than this? And then it was too long a wait for the captains to get back to me, to the duty manager. And then I was like, universe, I don't care whether there's a seat in the aircraft or not. I don't care. I'm choosing to go on this flight, make it happen. I'm choosing this. That's it. Make it happen. And that's the moment that person said, sorry, ma'am. They just handed me my suitcase. That very moment when I made the demand, that's the exact moment when they handed me back my suitcase and they tore my boarding card. And I was like, what just happened here? Because I had to really literally go there and make that presentation in Australia. And I still kept saying, how does it get any better than this? What else is possible? How does it get any better than this? Even though I'm receiving my bag from them, I'm saying, I'm still choosing this flight. I am going to go on this flight, whatever it takes. Universe, make it happen. How does it get any better than this? And just when I turned to leave, like move out of that queue, the duty manager said, ma'am, just hold on. The captain has asked you to wait. And I was like, oh my God, what else is possible? And how does it get any better than this? That's exactly what I just kept saying again and again and again. And then I saw the captains, they were walking towards the aircraft, and one of them just did this. And then they took my bag in again, and then they checked me in again for the flight, and they gave me my boarding card, and I was off on that flight. So the reason I'm mentioning this is, what if you never ever gave up on yourself? What if, even though it looks impossible, even though you think there's no way you can create it, even though all odds are against you, but if you do not give up on yourself, what would that create? Who are others to decide what you can have or not? And who are you to put roadblocks in your own way, right? If there's something that you've been choosing, you've been asking for, and if it is showing up, don't create those roadblocks, or find a way around those roadblocks. Okay, the only person stopping you is you. All right, so if you come across people who are giving excuses for money and all, it's just that they're not choosing it right now. It's just sometimes these classes create such dynamic changes that we're not willing to receive that change, because what if it becomes too great? What if so much opens up? What if a whole new world of possibility opens up? Right? What will we do? How can we be so powerful and so unstoppable? So sometimes we'll only create those roadblocks for ourselves. Right? So if you're wondering, what does a business done different class invite you to? This energy is exactly what it invites you to choose to be totally unstoppable when nothing is impossible. Right? That's what, when you start functioning from that space, you will start creating and actualizing, and also realizing that you are the source of whatever is showing up in your world. Okay, I will conduct the class, but you have to leap. I will push you down the cliff lots of times, many times, but you have to choose to start soaring. Right? So the onus is on you. Oh, okay, cool. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, I can just keep talking. There's so much. These are my favorite classes and favorite topics.
Can I ask another question, Smriti?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what if this class, if there is a startup, somebody is doing a startup, or somebody who's really not very clear about the career, what to choose, what not to choose. The third thing, I encounter many people who come for healings and sessions. During COVID, they have, their business had totally gone. It's no more striving or sustaining or thriving. And so how would these classes contribute to them?
So one of the reasons why the businesses collapsed during the COVID is also where people were buying into the points of view about what's going on in the world. So when you are creating based on other people's points of view and the linearity of their thoughts, and when you are tapping into their fear, then that's what you're creating for yourself and choosing and actualizing for yourself. So that's the reason because so many businesses were failing. So it's okay if my business also fails, right? Because that's how it shows up. But if you choose not to tap into what's going on with others, see, the thing is, we start creating our lives based on who we are surrounded with. So if you surround yourself with, say, for example, very mediocre people who are choosing only very mediocre life for themselves, then if you are able to just create a life slightly better than them, then you think that's the ceiling for you. You're doing well. But when you start looking at people out in the world and see what they are actually choosing and being in the world, then you start saying and realizing, wow, there is so much more. that I can be asking for and choosing, right? It's just that. So this class, we'll be talking a lot about, depends on whatever questions they ask. There's so much of awareness that we can give based on that. This is just one awareness. Incidentally, I think that was a time that I conducted the maximum business done different classes. And that was also the time, first week of March is where they'd increased the pricing of business done different at that time. And suddenly, just overnight, not even overnight, within 2 hours, it increased the pricing because they realized that business done different to be a valuable product. And they're like, if people have to choose it, they have to pay a premium price for this. And they just increase the pricing. Like I remember Simon just sent a message and I was conducting some call. And by the time I got off the call, the prices had already been implemented and everything. And that's the time during COVID, that was the maximum BDD classes I'd conducted. And there were people from all over the world attending that. So what if you did not have to function from the linearity of it? So whatever they're creating right now, because you've made COVID so significant, then that's what is showing up as your reality right now. It can't be that easy. How can we set it all up again? And so on. So that's what it is. Any other question? Anything else? So what I usually do is, people who ask for a payment plan, it's not fun for me to give payment plans, but what I usually do is I can give a credit card link, right? So they can pay upfront the entire amount and then they can opt for an EMI option from the credit card bank, right? So then they have the option to keep paying every month, whatever they have to. And that seems to be the best possible option. Because end of the day, if you have to give the EMI, you might as well give it to your own bank, and that's so much better. So otherwise, there's no chance of feeding anyone slack because it's okay. That's not fun. We get it? And it's also a space of choosing to honor myself because I know I put in more than 100% for those classes. And when people are choosing installments and payment plans, that class doesn't take off only. There's not much to facilitate them. I don't know how to explain. They don't get to receive it. You'll realize that if you've made payments well in advance, like there were times when I've paid for a particular class 3 months in advance, you already start receiving from that class. So you can talk to that class and ask it to create for you. You can energetically connect to that class and ask it to create. It usually does. You can connect to your body and ask it to create it for you. And so on. Cool. So, all right. One question I'll leave you guys with. What future am I aware of that I can use to actualize a greater business than before? And everything that doesn't allow that, times a quadrillion. Will you now just try and uncreate it all? Right, from good, bad, pot, pop, all and short boys, 4 and nuance. So we have these 2 classes coming up in Kolkata. I'll be visiting Kolkata after, I think, maybe more than 30 years. And I think I visited Kolkata 30 years ago. And I'm so looking forward to it. I wonder what the city, what contribution can I be to the city and what contribution can I receive from the city. I'm so looking forward to meeting everyone there. And I wonder what these classes will contribute to everyone there. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you all there. Bye.
Yes,
And
Smriti. And
see.
all the magic for your classes.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
I thought I meant this call to be just a quick 20-30 minute call and it's almost
can
an hour.
Your calls are never 20-30 minutes.
Exactly.
And the two subjects, what were you thinking?
Never.
I literally thought it would be just 20 minutes.
Smriti, don't give away class. Smriti, don't give away class.
No,
Thank you.
I haven't
For your
given away any
generosity.
class. Yeah.
But just still saying, thank you so much for these calls.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
See you soon.
you.
Bye.